Really awesome news. We might actually end up getting Static inside the Arrowverse sooner rather than later, but there's a couple hoops they have to jump through. It's a little complicated, so I'll explain what's up. Was not expecting really good news like this early in the year. They haven't even really started shooting the shows yet, but I'll go ahead and do a new round of the giveaway. Be sure to click that bell to enable alerts so you don't miss anything. So what's happening is that the showrunner was talking about crossover with the Arrowverse and the Static Shock character, or really he's just called Static. So it's a bunch of good news about what's going on with the Black Lightning TV show, the characters that it can do, and how that'll cross over with the other shows. When they first dropped the trailer, the reason they were saying that they weren't going to let him participate in the big 4-night crossover is mostly because the show isn't even going to premiere till 2018. It's going to be a mid-season replacement. And on top of that, they produced the TV show in Atlanta, which is on the other side of the country from Vancouver, where they produce all the other Arrowverse shows. It was hard enough for them to cross Supergirl over when they were shooting that in Los Angeles during season 1. They were only able to do all this Supergirl crossover with the Arrowverse because they literally shoot right next door to where they shoot Flash and Arrow. So you're walking across the street, so that's mainly the reason why Black Lightning isn't crossing over right away, but the showrunner was like, oh yeah, we definitely want to cross over eventually. That's the first big part of this. I'll talk about how they can cross over, especially given some of the logistical challenges, but there are so many things the characters have in common, so many story beats, that we'll talk about crossover stuff in a second. The second big part of this is the Static character. He's been all over the animated series. There have been talks about a solo series for a long time. I'll explain what's up with that too, because that got debunked a while ago. But the showrunner was saying, in success, I hope that we can do this character. So he's basically saying that, yeah, they could totally do it, but they have to prove that the Black Lightning TV show is a success in season 1. So depending on how that does, it sort of opens the floodgates on other big characters that you might want them to do. You may have watched one or more of the animated series. Obviously, Static Shock was the series that started it all by Dwayne McDuffie. May he rest in peace. He was the one that created the character. They did 4 seasons. They did a Batman Beyond crossover. Then he went on the other TV shows, like he went on Young Justice. A lot of you probably remember that. I've used the clip of him and Black Lightning together. They were actually mentor-mentee for a brief period, but Black Lightning wasn't a big Young Justice character because it was all about the kids. So because Black Lightning has 2 daughters that develop their own lightning-based powers, he's going to be mentoring them through the course of season 1 of that show. It just makes sense that he would also mentor the Static character, however they want to surface him on the show. He got his powers because of an accident, so there are a number of ways to introduce him. The Black Lightning TV show is located in a suburb, it's basically like a slum of Metropolis. So if you're just going based on location, it'd be easier for them to pop up on the Supergirl TV show first. But the fictional city where Static is from, Dakota City, is actually somewhere closer to Chicago, so it'd be closer to Central City, Missouri. They've been very vague about Arrowverse city locations. Like for instance, Starling City or Star City on Arrow is located in Northern California, so it's way over here. When you have super speed like Barry, it just doesn't matter how far away the cities are. That's why you see him just rush over to Arrow every once in a while to get help from one of the characters. Now that we have Cisco, being on another Earth doesn't matter either. You can just pop right over into Kara's living room like they did during the big crossover. But I think in terms of them doing Static on the TV shows, he would pop up as like a Firestorm type character, and if they really wanted to do him, they would probably introduce him, give him a big arc on the Black Lightning TV show, cross over with a couple of the other shows during like some bigger story, and then go off to Legends of Tomorrow. That's really the best way to do a character that you don't have room for his own show and he's too big for one of the other shows. Like for instance, Firestorm on The Flash. He's a big character, but he's not quite popular enough to sustain his own show, but he's too big of a character to make him ride the bench on The Flash and only be in a couple episodes. So you send him to Legends of Tomorrow, the big team-up show, which is like the island of misfit toys for characters that aren't popular enough for their own shows, but together they're able to do something really cool. That's kind of their Suicide Squad style show. That was the whole reason why they created the Suicide Squad comic. They had a bunch of B-list characters that weren't really that popular, so they're like, okay, these are a bunch of bad guys, we'll put them in a team up together, we'll tell a bunch of hardcore stories, and it blew up big time. For those of you asking about the live-action Static show that they were developing a couple years ago, so what happened is back in 2014, it was announced that Warner Brothers was releasing or planning to release a live-action show with Will Smith's son through their Blue Ribbon program. That's the service they use to release a lot of their animated titles, so you see this logo sometimes. That's what they were going to use for this Static show. but supposedly that was vaporware, and that was just people trying to hype up a project they were trying to get going. There were also some rights issues that were happening between Warner Brothers and Milestone Media, who originally had rights to the Static character. So, behind the scenes, there was a bit of drama that prevented them from using the character in a bigger way, even though he was super popular. So now it sounds like some of that might have been worked out. Warner Brothers is rolling so hard on DC IP that it seems like a drop in the bucket for them to figure this out. But the thing is that Static was not developed inside the DC universe. The character was created with Milestone Media. That's why his hometown city is Dakota City, and it wasn't Metropolis or Gotham City or somewhere else inside the DC universe. Later, they brought him into the DC universe through all the TV shows, but it didn't start out that way, and that's what led to some of the legal issues. It's usually about money at the end of the day. Like if you own a piece of a character and a big studio wants to include him in the DC universe, of course you're going to hold out till you get paid. So hopefully all that drama is behind him. We'll see some Static Shock in Season 2 of Black Lightning. We'll see them all cross over, 2018, 2019. It'll be awesome. And they haven't said anything about Titans either. You have to remember that Titans is another big show where characters can go crossover on. But a lot of these shows haven't started shooting yet, so there's just a couple questions up in the air. Let me know though, they use Static Shock in the Arrowverse. Where do you want him to show up? How do you want his character to work? Do you want him to be closer to Barry's age? Do you want to watch him get his powers? Or do you want him to just show up where he already has them? And for those of you that don't know how his powers work, just think Magneto. He uses the Earth's electromagnetic field. He can do all the same stuff that Magneto can do.
Full jet. Now you gone done woke up the big man.
Leave all your requests for DC TV videos in the comments below. I'll announce the giveaway winner the next time I post a DC video. That'll be sometime this weekend. There was a cool Spider-Man VR thing that's going on at theaters now for Spider-Man Homecoming, so I might post that trailer later. It's like a really cool VR experience that you can go do for free. But while you wait for everything, click here for brand new Reverse Flash, and you can click here for brand new Game of Thrones. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.